Crime is a social phenomenon and has many sociological dimensions. Crime has also gained a political dimension in the recent years. Criminology being a study of crime, criminals and criminal justice system of the country, it also encompasses crime prevention strategies and systems. Increasing pace of development is followed by increasing crime rate in many countries. In the absence of a well laid out crime control strategies and systems, the cost of the entire criminal justice system is bound to keep on increasing. It may be pointed out in this connection that increase in the police force and number of courts implies that crimes are increasing and that crime prevention strategies are not effective. Whatever may be the achievement in this regard, there have to be a set of crime prevention strategies and systems so that the criminal justice system is able to move in the direction of crime prevention. You will learn in this unit the drawbacks of increasing crimes, the need for an effective crime prevention policy, the role of crime statistics in crime prevention short-term measures and strategies, crime prevention long-term measures and systems, advantages of a good crime prevention system, constraints of crime prevention. Increasing crimes lead to many drawbacks. They are: in the context of the unit, the term crime is taken to mean only certain types of crimes which cause general fear among the public. Such crimes are murder for gain, dacoity, robbery, vehicle theft, etc., which affect day-to-day life of the people. These are known as property offences in the legal parlance. Other crimes like corruption, cheating and frauds, abduction for ransom, counterfeiting the currency, crime against women and children, crime against the society and nation are also of concern. However, it is the property offences which create a general sense of fear among the public. Now, drawbacks of increasing crimes. Increase in the workload of the police. Increasing crimes cause increasing workload of the police department and warrant more budget allotments to the criminal justice system. Police image may be affected by rising crime levels. The government also in turn will lose its popularity, leading to adverse political situations. Unfair practices by investigators. The police investigators who may be pressurized by the higher ups for rounding up the criminals may resort to unfair practices of third-degree interrogation, setting up false witnesses and creating alibis to complete the case. This often leads to friction between the investigation and prosecution, resulting in the acquittal of the accused. Fear of crimes. On the other hand, if the people live in fear of crimes, it is bound to affect their productivity in their respective fields of activities. Parents may be in fear of the safety of their children in the schools. The males who go to their workplaces may be in fear of their families left behind. People cannot have free movements on the roads. Increasing state expenditures. Increasing crimes will lead to increasing expenditure on the criminal justice system, which includes the police, the prosecution and trials and conviction. This also includes correctional administration. If the government have to spend more on the criminal justice system, it may prove to be productive in the long period, provided the crimes are well controlled. Otherwise, increasing expenditure would only mean unproductive in the short period and long period as well. Increasing victimization. Every crime creates its own victims and victimization. More crimes means more victimization. As it is, there is no adequate provision for suitable compensation to the crime victims. This is because victimization cannot be easily assessed. Such victimization may lead to psychological depression on the part of the victims. This will not disappear easily. Grooming of the juveniles. Increase in crime leads to increase in the number of criminals. Adult criminals generally try to get hold of the juveniles and first offenders and groom them into criminals. This will further increase the crime levels. Increase in serious and violent crimes. Increase in non-violent crimes in course of time may lead to increase in violent crimes. The whole society may become a crime-abound society. Social structure disrupted. Increasing crimes will disrupt the very social structure because the violent criminals generally do not have their own families or family bondage. This will lead to a crackdown of the social structure and social order. Pendency of cases in the courts. As crimes increase owing to the constraints of the criminal justice system, pendency of cases will increase in the courts. As a result, the criminal cases pending in the courts may lose their velocity and veracity. This is evident from the fact that many 1,000 accused remanded to judicial custody remain in the prisons for many years. This is one of the major reasons for overcrowding in the prisons. Overcrowding in the prisons and prison maladministration. Increasing crimes lead to overcrowding in the prisons because of increasing number of the accused. In turn, prisons all over India are witnessing many kinds of maladministration, such as corruption, partiality, mismanagement of resources, etc. The need for an effective crime prevention policy. All the drawbacks stated above lead to the conviction that the society needs effective crime prevention policy so that the people can live in peace and mind their routine life with ease. Although it is not possible to create a state of zero crime level or crimeless society, it is imperative that crimes need to be controlled, if not completely prevented. After all, we are not in an utopian society where everything and everybody is normal, and therefore there is no need for police or court or even the government. Crimes are bound to be there in the modern societies because statistically only 1 to 2% of the population has a criminal mind. It means the vast majority of the population needs to be safeguarded from the small minority of criminal population. It is also to be understood that the people also have a role in preventing or controlling crimes besides the police and the government. It is obvious that the police, which constitutes only a small percentage of the state's population, the police cannot be present at every spot of crime occurrence. Moreover, the entire system of criminal justice system is not only a long drawn process but also consists of many uncertainties and melodies. All these points explain the need for an effective crime prevention or crime control measures in the short period and long period as well. Now let us see the role of crime statistics in crime prevention. Crime statistics refer to the collection, compilation, tabulation and analysis of crime data at various levels, from the police station to the crime records organization at the national level, called the National Crime Records Bureau. It is shortly known as NCRB and functions under the Central Home Ministry. Almost every crime defined by the Indian Penal Code and the local and special laws of the state governments is covered by the crime statistics computed by the NCRB. There is yet another organization of the central government under the Home Ministry, and it is known as the Bureau of Police Research and Development, shortly known as the BPRD. crime analysis is being done by both the organizations. BPRD is mainly devoted to researches in the fields of criminology, police administration, and the criminal justice system. Now, what is the significance of crime statistics from the point of view of crime prevention? As there are many types and categories of crimes, from small pocket picking or thefts to transnational crimes, the attention of the police and the government are always on the crimes which are predominant in a particular period and particular places. Crimes which are steered by personal motivation against particular individuals on grounds like political, religious, communal, or social, or personal, are on the increase. The country is witnessing many murders taking place every year on these grounds. This also includes individualized and personalized attacks. On the other hand, crimes like property offences form a distinct category affecting the people in their daily life. If property offences are on the increase, the people will be in a state of fear. The crime statistics collected and compiled at the lower levels and compiled at the national level by the BPRD and NCRB would reveal the crime trends. For example, at the district level or at the state level, if more highway robberies are occurring, the police may have to resort to some specific type of short-term measures, such as intensifying highway patrolling, highway checkposts, and other such measures. Such measures, with some improvement and modifications, may be introduced in the long period. Now, let us see the crime prevention measures in the short term. Strategy is a term often used to refer to short-term measures to solve a very critical problem. In the defense, for example, a war strategy refers to a particular method of movement of troops to a battlefront and the method of combat to be carried out at the particular hour. Similarly, the term strategy used in connection with crime prevention refers to a particular method of preventing a particular type of crime, such as highway robbery or train robbery. This implies that every type of crime needs a short-term strategy if it is predominant. In the case of property crimes like murder for gain, dacoity, robbery, housebreaking, major and minor thefts, etc., the short-term strategies shall focus on the modus operandi of the criminals, the place and time, and also the properties targeted by the criminals. For example, in the case of train robbery, a certain MO has been identified by the police and specific strategies were employed as preactive, proactive, and reactive measures. This has very much helped in reducing the train robbery committed by the biscuit bandits. Similarly, if highway robbery becomes predominant, the police shall fix the MO of the highway robbers with reference to the place and timing of their operations and also possibly the type of victims. This warrants highway patrolling and highway checkposts at vulnerable points on the highways and advising the drivers of the vehicles to move as a convoy with a minimum of 5 vehicles at a time. Besides the overt operations carried out by the police, some covert operations like policemen and women traveling as ordinary public but adequately armed may also be carried out. City midnight robberies, snatching and pocket picking are some categories of crime which might warrant short-term strategies, such as intensified night patrolling by the police, night beats with provisions for police emergency vehicles, might check-up of surreptitious vehicles, etc. The police may also seek public participation in some of the short-term strategies like night patrolling. Youth brigades may be formed in crime-sensitive areas with guidance from the police. For example, if chain snatching is predominant in certain areas in the city, checkposts may be formed. Other short-term measures include posting visible and invisible police at vital points or areas, stepping up police public cooperation. If the police strength is not sufficient in one district or city, more police strength may be drawn from other districts. In case the police have to encounter armed gangsters and criminals, the commissioner of police of a city or the superintendent of police of a district may deploy the armed reserve police to the required extent. Now we shall see the constraints of short-term measures and the need for long-term policies to prevent or control crimes in the long period. All the short-term crime prevention measures have a number of constraints. They are the need for extra resources like manpower, finance and infrastructure. These are subject to the sanction from higher authorities. A heavy police force cannot be deployed in a high-risk area and high-risk period beyond certain proportions because such deployments will disturb the routine life of the people. Very often, such short-term measures may become excessive. That is, the police operations may be excessively applied, causing public distrust on the police. Police excesses may lead to their own political consequences, which may overshadow the real issues behind them. When the police, visible or invisible, resort to short-term strategies mentioned above in one area, the criminals operating in that area are likely to move to other areas or even other states and strike again when the police concentration is reduced. Such short-term strategies cannot be enforced with the same tempo over a long period. For example, the police cannot enforce Section 144 of the Criminal Procedure Code in an area of communal clash for more than a few days. Therefore, the police and public have to be motivated to a long-term solution to any crime if it is persistent. For example, the Chambal Valley dacoits of Madhya Pradesh were a serious problem to the government of Madhya Pradesh and also the adjoining states of Bihar and Orissa during the 1940s, 1950s and 1960s. Police forces could not be deployed in the unfriendly terrains of Chambal Valley effectively, and the dacoits confined to strike terror in the region. Sri Vinoba Bhave, the founder of the Bhudan movement, took efforts in the 1960s to meet and persuade the Chambal Valley dacoits to surrender with their weapons on the condition that they should serve the minimum jail term for all the offences committed by them earlier so that they would become eligible for rehabilitative measures. Thereby, Sri Vinoba Bhave was able to make many dacoits of the Chambal Valley to surrender with their weapons. Vinoba Bhave was followed by another national leader, Mr. Jayaprakash Narayan, who also succeeded in persuading many Chambal Valley dacoits to surrender with their weapons. Pulan Devi, the once dacoit queen, who caused terror in the region, is a good example for this. Pulan Devi, who surrendered and served her jail term, entered the politics and was elected to the parliament as MP by the people of her constituency. Banshidhar Dwivedi rightly says, police make only minimum contributions to crime prevention in the context of a far more powerful social institutions like the family and labor markets. Dwivedi supports the view that hiring more police does not prevent serious crime, but he is in favor of directed patrols and proactive arrests. In the long run, the police strength may have to be marginally increased in the context of increasing population and increasing crime level and increasing crime rate. Emergency call numbers are in practice in all the states. For example, in Tamil Nadu, dial 100 gives access to any citizen to the city police control room. Long-term crime prevention measures are generally the extended short-term measures implemented with some modifications. Once brought into long-period practice, the short-period strategy becomes a crime prevention system in the long period. For example, when shoplifting, shop robbery, and bank thefts became predominant about 3 decades back, the CCTV was not in common use. Now, the CCTV is fitted in almost all the public places, including temples, as a measure of security. Role of community in crime prevention. The people of a community have a significant role in crime prevention in the short period as well as long period. But in the short period, the police have a predominant role and the people have a lesser role. In the long run, the role of the people in crime prevention shall be predominant in all respects. Community police is the answer for public participation in crime prevention. The people must create various systems against crime on a permanent basis in the long period. The concept of community police is amenable into various systems. The origin of the community police is the village police of the medieval periods, when the village headman or village munsif was responsible for collection of revenue and the internal security of the villages. Now the community police system is being practiced in various forms. For example, installing CCTV, employing private security personnel, and night watch in streets are some of the long-term measures which are in practice now. Communities' awareness to crime prevention is the basis for community police. Now we shall see the role of the government in crime prevention in the long period. In the long period, the governments have to devise and support not only various correctional and rehabilitative measures, but also measures of new livelihood for the poorly marginalized and downtrodden people, so that such people are not influenced by push factors and pull factors. Push factors are poverty, unemployment, and other socio-economic drawbacks of a society. Pull factors are the attractions of a life of criminality, like easy money, a life of gay with wine, whiskey, and women, and other luxuries of life. Contrary to the push factors and pull factors, the development factors and deterrent factors are expected to work against crimes. Development factors are measures aimed at promoting employment and poverty eradication. Deterrent factors are all the short-term and long-term crime prevention measures of the police. The crime level at any time depends on which side is more attractive and powerful, the P factors or the D factors. History reveals that the D factors have contributed in the long term in decriminalizing certain communities which were earlier considered to be criminal tribes. However, they are still criminal communities in different parts of the country, and they need to be brought under the purview of D factors in the long term. Now to summarize, we have seen in this unit the need for crime prevention measures in the short period as well as in the long period. All the three entities, namely the police, the public, and the government, play a significant role in crime prevention. No doubt, crimes continue to increase in spite of all the preventive measures in practice. This implies that a vast country like India needs more effective practices of crime prevention measures.